I got to wear 3 new releases in 1 week. Were they any good?
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. So today we're going to be talking about the fragrances I wore last week, and we've got 3 brand new ones a part of this week. So a pretty hefty video here. Hit that subscribe button and let's go ahead and get started with one of the ones that I wore earliest on in the week, and this is called Amouage King Blue. Not going to be for everybody. This is a scent profile that surrounds itself around Indian animalistic barnyard style oud. So yes, it's got the poopy vibes, and I love the poopy vibes. Except this one has a little bit of this Mandarin vibe to it as well. And in the air, these are magical stuff. I highly recommend if you're gonna be sampling these or trying them out, spray the poop on ya and walk away. No, in all seriousness, it smells amazing. It smells like burning bakhur, incense, etc. Aphrodisiac vibes. Phenomenal stuff. The quality of this is through the freaking roof, and that's basically what it does. So oudi, a little bit incensey, slightly spiced as well, and herbal with that Mandarin vibe to it as well. In terms of the performance, beastly stuff, man. The longevity for this one gave me the entire day, 10 hours and some next day on clothing. And the projection for this is actually not that much. It's gonna be a moderate projecting fragrance, but for a very long time. So 2 to 3 feet for about like the 7 hours of most of this fragrance. Otherwise, anybody that comes up close even after those 7 hours, they're gonna freaking smell you. In terms of the occasions, now this is where it's going to be a little bit more difficult and challenging. I would personally recommend this for bros, special occasions like weddings, not necessarily dates. Would I wear it to? I probably would, but regardless of the fact, okay, that's where I would personally wear this. And the season is gonna be most appropriate for the fall and the winter time. I personally rocked it during the summer, and guess what? It was fine, but most appropriate is going to be for those 2 cooler weather. For the price, it is asking for a pretty hefty price tag. Generally speaking, at retail, it's like $400+, and I won't say that the quality doesn't deserve it. It's got some heavy quality smelling oud in there, but at discounters for around $200 to $300, I think it's worth it. If you like a high quality, authentic smelling oud, Amouage, they're pretty good in this realm. And yeah, one of the most enjoyed fragrances I wore this week. I also wore Silver Oud, which is still in the car. Terrible. You shouldn't keep your fragrances in the car. No, it's probably not gone bad. It's been 2 days. It's not the end of the world, but it's got more of a fresher take around something like this. It's also got a hefty dose of something metallic, and they're quite different. This goes towards like this Mandarin ambery oak wood, whereas that one goes a little bit fresher and brighter at the top especially, and seeming to have some kind of actual silver influence with the metallic vibe, taking it a little bit brighter and more projecting. Performance is right on par with this one. The projection may be giving you a little bit more than that, and the occasions and everything else is pretty much similar. In terms of Silver Oud, you might be able to get away with it a little bit more so, including the spring, so fall, winter, and spring, but they're gonna be in a pretty similar realm, okay? I love them both. If I had to pick both, I initially started with King Blue for a reason. It was easier to get into. That silver metallic vibe threw me off, but now I actually really love that fragrance too. So I would say King Blue would be easier one to get away with. It tones down some of that very in-your-face barnyardy nature of the fragrance in itself. Nevertheless, one of my most enjoyed ones in Silver Oud, I wore it twice this week. Moving on to the next one I wore is Atheric Straight. This is supposed to be a greenly clone, and it actually does smell pretty damn close. Very nice and crisp opening of that apple, along with this musk and cashmere vibes. And it basically turns into more of like this fresh, green, woody fragrance. It's not green as in like Terre d'Hermès or vetiver green, more so musk and apple, basically. Simple as that. It's not that complicated of a fragrance, a little bit aromatic. I personally don't own Greenly because of performance, and the scent profile, while it does smell really good, I never really got more than about 6 hours. That's kind of the case with this one. I didn't get more than about 5 to 6 hours out of this fragrance, and I was spraying it on pretty heavily. And the occasions, this is every day, everywhere, anytime. Dates, office, school, gym, literally everywhere. So in a sense, for a 5-hour fragrance, it still smells much more unique than other 5-hour fragrances, right? So Nautica Voyage is a good fragrance, especially for the price, but this is definitely more unique. And you know, we're not gonna go into the price realm, but it'll give you something that smells like Greenly, basically. Simple as that. The seasons for this though is going to be something that's more limited for the spring and the summertime, potentially even the fall, but keep into consideration that, you know, the 5-6 hour mark, that was in higher or hotter weather. And generally speaking, for hotter weather, fragrances, they get sucked up for me at least. So for the price, it's really not bad. I would give this like an 8.5 out of 10 for the scent profile. If it performed a little bit more, it would be a 9. Moving on to the next one I wore this week is another clone fragrance, which is called Island by Khadlaj. And it actually gets pretty close to Le Beau de Parfum. Now, I personally find it to be about 85% total refinement. Obviously, if you want Le Beau de Parfum, get it. but for what there is in the market, it's definitely the closest thing for or on a budget. I personally rank this up on like the top 3 from the LeBeau series, and I still think it's top 3. Most of the difference that you're gonna get is the richness of that caramel or the tonka bean sweetness and the coconut. It's still in Island, but the brightness and the freshness of Island is not quite as LeBeau. I would say 80-85%, but still the best one and the longest lasting one. I got about 8 to 9 hours out of this fragrance on skin. Projection for Island, including LeBeau Le Parfum, is never more than moderate, being at like 2 feet at best. In terms of the occasions, honestly, both of these can be worn every single day and to everything. Occasions, special weddings, date, you know, bros, gym, office, anything. At least for me personally, that's what I find it to be. It's a good transitioning fragrance from like daytime to the nighttime into even a date. Most appropriate season is going to be any, honestly. It works in the summer, spring, fall, and even in the winter. If you like the scent profile, you can rock it all year round. The coconut vibe will give you that of spring and summer, but if you really wanted to rock it during the winter and fall, you could still easily rock it. For the price, it's still really good, and I was very surprised at how long it lasted. Out of everything of the fragrance was the quality and the longevity. Not so much of the closeness, but then again, even the Glacier and all of those, they don't get as close as this one. Moving on to the next one, this is called Creed Centaurus. The newest release from Creed, and I have to admit, I really enjoy this one. However, it is more mature because of its balsamic and waxy resinous nature. It has a slight bit of acidity at the bottom of the fragrance, along with a pretty hefty dose of tobacco and vanilla. It doesn't necessarily remind me of any other fragrance. I might get certain vibes of tobacco fragrances. Some people have been comparing it to Boundless, Red Tobacco, etc. The only resemblance that I might conclude, some Red Tobacco, but it does go much further than that. It has that signature Creed funk in the DNA, and it smells much more expensive. Not nearly as harsh either, and it does have a mature class to it. I love this fragrance, genuinely. I actually really enjoyed rocking it, and it got me a lot of compliments the first day that I did rock it. I will say though, it is mature because of those balsams. I think it's a Tolu balsam or something like that, giving that slight bit of, you know, balsamic vibe, acidity right from the top. But as it starts to dry down, it turns into something even better. So Centaurus, really enjoyed it. Test this one, spray it on, and see how you like it. Moving on to the next one, another new one from Fragrance World, and this is called Fierté by Fragrance, French Avenue. I sprayed this on like crazy. I layered it with Michelle's fragrance, Attraction Fatale, and I went to a wedding. I sprayed it on like 300,000 times. I don't even know, bro, but I smelled amazing, and this does too. I'm gonna be doing comparisons to it and Rifaqat, etc., but I know that this one smells really damn good. I have Baby Cat, and I love Baby Cat genuinely, and this one gets pretty damn close. Comparison-wise, to be coming soon, but I got to the next day on clothing out of Fierté, and that's pretty much it with my experience for this fragrance. And appropriate occasions for this would be, you know, special occasions, maybe even dates or hanging out with the bros, but nothing more than that. I wouldn't say to the office, school, gym, etc. For the seasons, honestly, you guys, okay, it's most appropriate for fall and winter, but I have rocked it in every single season, okay? Might not be the most appropriate for the summer, but the spring you can definitely get away with. So let's say the occasions are gonna be fall, winter, and even during the springtime. Lastly, the bottle design. This is extremely heavy, and if you threw this, just don't. 2 more fragrances I rocked this week. This was Amber Fever by Mancera, and I'm not too moved about this fragrance, honestly. I don't know why I thought it was a new release. I just kept seeing advertisements for it, I believe, and I just decided to rock it. So I get like this Amber Woods, Baccarat vibe with a little bit of like Instant Crush meets Intense Cafe, like this powdery rose, and yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like, it's a good fragrance. It smelled really good. It got me a compliment the first hour, but it's just kind of a mush of a lot of things that I already know. In terms of the performance, this only gave me about 5 hours, maybe, and the projection was pretty damn moderate. I got the compliment while I was spraying it on, basically, the first 20 minutes. The occasions, it's everywhere and anything. It works in that sense, so I guess it's respectful in that sense. And the seasons, there is no, you know, one right or wrong season, just maybe not the winter time because it is already a pretty light fragrance. All things considered, I was expecting something else. It is pretty ambery, but it does have resemblances to other fragrances that I personally already have. Last but not least, I wanted to give this fragrance another chance, so when I was going to bed, I decided to rock it and spray it on and see, maybe I missed something about it. It's Cobalt Elixir, but I will admit that I didn't really. And what this reminds me too much of is Invictus Victory Elixir. Way too much of that, man. Like, in the opening, it reminds me of something. It's actually very nice, and it has some of that freshness of the blue, or the Cobalt to the original. But then as it starts to dry down, it's almost like, did I spray Invictus? Like, yeah, no. I don't think that it's like, you know, the best one for sure. I love the Bad Boy Extreme, and I also think that Cobalt is going to give you something a bit more more versatile and a bit more unique than this one. Not saying that that's like my favorite Cobalt, but it's a great daily fragrance regardless of the facts. In terms of the performance, I mean, this is something that's about a 7.5 hour performer, and the projection is like moderate, very low end, maybe even low projection for this one. Seasons for this would be winter and the fall time, and that's pretty much it because it has a rich, you know, truffle and sweets type of DNA. And for the seasons, yeah, that's it. So I'll admit that I get better projection and longevity out of Victory Elixir. So all things considered, Cobalt Elixir, it's one that I probably didn't really need to go with this week. But other than that, there were quite a few gems of the weeks. I loved rocking the Oud. Centaurus is a great one. Delphinus, I don't know if I'm going to be picking it up, but I'll let you guys know in the very near future on my thoughts, my final thoughts, full review, if I got it or if I didn't get it and why or why not. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.